Rhonda, the back, and Carolyn and the tech team. They have done an incredible job to get us up and running. So thank you. And in the back, Carolyn Kearns, who may not know, she's our office manager. She came all the way from Madison Park. So thank you, Carolyn, for making the journey. And just for everybody, today's going to be a little different, and for obvious reasons that I don't need to explain, and we'll talk about that as we go along in the service. But first, I got to thank everybody for making this happen, and it's been months in the making to get this going. And I want to thank, there's something called the Reopening Task Force, and then the Opening Day Task Force, and Kasha Singh, where are you, Kasha? Anyway, she's somewhere. She's organized this herd of people here, and all in the back and all around, and really Kasha deserves an incredible amount of thanks, and everybody here who's helped. And if this is your first time at Cedars, we welcome you. And usually at this point, what we do is we get up and hug each other and, that kind of stuff. We're not going to do that today. So if everybody would just kind of wave to people and say hi, hi, that would be great. And also when we finish today, we're asking, at least for the first few services, to people to migrate out of Webster Hall. And if you want to chat and catch up, not Webster Hall, what's that parking lot? Sage parking lot. You can go over there and catch up with folks. So before we start, let's pause to acknowledge the members of our congregation occupy the ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of Coast Salish tribes. The homelands of the Suquamish, Duwamish, Klallam, and Chimicum people were ceded under duress during the Point Elliott and Point No Point treaties. We are grateful guests on these lands and affirm Indigenous sovereignty, both past and present. This acknowledgement does not substitute for the need to build authentic relationships with modern-day members of these tribes and to learn about their living culture and history. Also, a little bit of deviation. Generally, we have an offering where we pass around a basket and everybody puts in their vast wealth into that to help us, Cedars, continue. What we're going to do today, Jane Martin has developed 2 boxes, one back there on the table and one as you're going out. So, on your way out, if you feel inclined, you can contribute to Cedars and for keeping us going. Also, a real special event that our fundraising committee is putting on, that on Wednesday this week at Eagle Harbor Books, there's going to be a book sale. Every book that's sold and you identify Cedars, we get 15%. So you can go online between 8 and 6:30 on the Eagle Harbor, or go in person at 4:30 to 5:30. And any books we buy or other non-booked items, it goes to Cedars. 15% goes to Cedars. So a little early Christmas shopping this week, and we'll send out a reminder to everybody. So Cedars is committed to being a welcoming and inclusive community. In all the beauty of languages, cultures, and skin tones that come together in uniqueness, we welcome you. In all the ways you experience and express gender, in the beauty of who and how you love, we welcome you. With all the religious and ethical traditions that inform your spiritual life, we welcome you. You're invited to join us today and always with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands. Also, a little deviation from normal. We usually have an opportunity for people to share their joys and sorrows. Well, we're just trying to figure out how that's going to work in a safe manner. So what we'd like to do today is just take a minute of reflection on your joys and sorrows. We'll just go silent for about a minute and reflect on those joys and sorrows that you have in your life or for others. So thanks. So now I'm going to give a little reflection on water. I'm curious. How many people know where their drinking water comes from? Raise your hands. If you know where your drinking water comes from, raise your hand. pretty good. That's pretty good. Now, understandably, if you have a well, of course you know where it comes from, right? It's your well. It pumps up the water. But if you're on public water, it's always a mystery, right? You turn on that faucet, and all of a sudden the water comes gushing out. I always ask the question, and I worked in drinking water for a long time, so I know the answer, but where does it really come from? Who's treating that water? And is that water really safe? And what we've become, or what we all, I think, believe, is that water, when it comes out of that tap, it's safe, it's reliable, and it's abundant. And that's true most of the time, except if you're Flint, Michigan, and some other places. But for us, we have good water. And we all know what happens if it doesn't go on. Not real pleasant times, as some of us may have known. But think about it. Over the world, over 900 million people, 900 million, don't have access to safe drinking water. That's a lot of people. 10% of all kids who die under 5 years or younger die because they don't have access to drinking water, safe drinking water. That's a lot of kids. And I think many of you know I worked in Africa for several years, and for 2 of those years I worked for UNICEF. My job was to go into primary schools and dig wells. I didn't dig the wells, but I managed the project where we were digging wells for primary schools. And that experience really shaped my relationship to water, both in how I looked at it and for my career trajectory and what I did for my career. But it's complicated. And you think, what's so hard about just going and digging a well? It gets very complicated in the country, at least I worked in. There's the politics. Who gets the water first? Who gets the wells? The second, just getting the materials to the site was an incredible challenge sometimes. The third is tradition. The women do all the work. Sorry, guys, but the women do all the work. They go out, go get the water. A story, I came into this village one time, we had put a well in, and I noticed all the women were running from the river back to the well. They saw me in my big truck, so they knew we need to go back to the well. So I went and asked the chief. I said, what's going on? And he said, they don't like the taste nor the color of the water from the well. They prefer it from that river. That was incredibly polluted with all sorts of contaminants. I said, we failed. We failed. And then the last part, spare parts and training. In one area I worked in, there was 80 wells that had been drilled. 80. 20 of those are functioning because there are no spare parts. And what happened is the smartest kids in the village were trained, they left. So those wells were not functioning. So it's complicated. But what I came to believe and know is that drinking water is a human rights issue. Access to drinking water, safe drinking water, is a human rights issue. And in fact, in 2010, which wasn't that long ago, the UN General Assembly said, yes, access to drinking water is a human right. Kind of amazing it took to 2010 to do that. But my work, when I came back, I worked in drinking water for a long time, providing resources for villages in Alaska to build safe drinking water plants, and for communities around the Northwest to do the same. And I also worked with trying to help communities understand climate change and what they needed to do. But that was all based from my experience in Africa, of realizing how important water is for life, for safe, reliable, and abundant drinking water. We're making progress in the world. We really are, in terms of providing access to that water. But we still have a long ways to go. So I dedicate the lighting of our chalice today to the special relationship we all have with water, and to the hope that we can find within us the commitment to provide to everyone that same basic right that we have: access to safe, reliable, and abundant drinking water. So we haven't said this for a while, or in person, so I got to have a little card here so I can remember. So this is the affirmation. So repeat with me, if you would. As we come together to worship, we remind ourselves to treat people kindly because they are our family, to take good care of the earth because it is our home, and to live lives full of love and goodness, because that is how we'll all become the best that we can be.
I didn't think we would ever get here, and I'm taking off my glasses. How many Sundays did you say it's been? Like 80? A lot. Um, that seems ridiculous to me. And today feels very joyous. And yet, despite the joy, there's still a lot that has changed that leaves us with some sadness. How we're gathering now has changed. How I see you all without my glasses has changed. This is really hard. I can't. We will get used to it. And as we're coming back together, it's going to take a little bit of time. And so we ask everyone to just to be patient, to be graceful for one another, to lean into community, to lean into trust, to love, to be together. So as we were preparing to reopen a few weeks ago, and I prepared for this service, some change happened, and we responded to that change. And now we're here again. And we've talked about in the last few weeks how change might just be the nature of reality, that change might be the thing that is the only constant. But I think also with change, there are cycles that we experience. One cycle, you might say, is here we are gathered together in this place after all of this time. As I think about this regathering and the theme or the exploration of water today, a certain passage from the book of Ecclesiastes comes to my mind. It's a short passage, but it's, I think, really meaningful to me, and my husband and I always talk about it. And the passage is, all the rivers flow into the sea, yet the sea is not full. To the places the rivers come from, there they return again. And as we come together today, I see a similarity between this cycle of the rivers. Here we are again in this place together. The last time that we were gathered in this room as a congregation was March 1st, 2020. And I had only been here with y'all a few months at that point. I was still figuring many things out and have spent much of that time since figuring other things out. And it's occurred to me that I have actually spent more Sundays as a minister, period, in my career outside of Cedars, in virtual spaces than in person. That's weird. And I think that's, in some ways, going to continue to be true. Even today, here we are with our hybrid option. And despite all that change, though, I am glad that that cycle has come back around and we are gathered here. It's a joyous day. That's why some of you have ribbons. Partly, yeah, feel free to wave them if you have them. It's a joyous day. It's a joyous day. We are back together. Feel free to be goofy. It doesn't need to be all somber. It's been somber for long enough. Also, if you find yourself just getting cold, that can be a good excuse to wiggle it around and be like, hey, let's get some cardio in. All joking aside, though, I do hope we have fun today, but I want to offer this prayer by Robert French Levin as our call to worship. Holy and beautiful is the custom which brings us together in the presence of the Most High, to face our ideals, to remember our loved ones in absence, to give thanks, to make confession, to offer forgiveness, to be enlightened, and to be strengthened. Through this quiet hour breathes the worship of ages, the cathedral music of history, and 3 unseen guests attend today: faith, hope, and love. Let all our hearts prepare them place. Come, let us worship together. So, how many of the members of the board are in the room? I see a few. Okay, there's a few. I have to put this on. I don't see Kasha, but we'll hold Kasha here in spirit. Can I ask the members of the board to please rise as you are willing and able? Wherever you are, just to stand up. So, yeah, let's give them a round of applause. Our board here at Cedars has done amazing work keeping things moving forward to the degree that we have. They have committed tireless hours, many nights. We've been meeting a ton lately, trying to attend to everything. And I just want to express such gratitude to each and every one of you, and to thank you for your service, and to offer you a charge in your roles. So I'm going to ask you a question. And, hey, Kasha, we're talking about you. I'm going to ask you a question. And if you agree to what I ask and you affirm it, I want you to say, we do, collectively as a board. After that, all of you gathered, I'm going to ask you a question. And if you agree to that, I want you to say, we do, collectively. So I'll go, board, we do, congregation, we do. And then we're going to join in saying my new favorite catchphrase, I've got your back. So I see Tyler smiling under his mask. So as members of the board, you have been called and elected by this congregation to steward it forward and tend to the health and ministry of the church. Do you recognize the responsibility and trust that has been granted to you? And in recognizing it, agree to faithfully execute the duties of your office. We do. Excellent. To the congregation, to those of you gathered here, you've selected these leaders. You've called them from among you to tend to the life of the church. You've put your trust in them. Do you promise to support and encourage them in their leadership as they serve Cedars Unitarian Universalist Church? Excellent. Now is when you get to use your ribbons. I want you to join me in collectively affirming the phrase, I've got your back, as a sign of our support of one another. And so we'll say it 3 times, and feel free to wave your ribbons. So ready? 1, 2, 3. I've got your back, I've got your back, I've got your back. Thank you. I would be dishonest if I said that I wasn't a little nervous today. Like, this is very different after so long, and this glasses thing is something I still need to work through. This is hard. But let's take a breath together. Just breathing in and out, letting ourselves settle into this time and space, letting our hearts open to ourselves, to one another, to the possibilities in this room, in this world. Let us continue to breathe, feeling the current, that spiritual ebb and flow that is in this room. The stream of souls and individuals that connect us across time in this moment. Feel the pool of the tension the future offers. Feel the gravity of the past. Notice how you are in this moment. Feel the connection. Let us sit in a moment together in silence as a reminder of all of those things that we carry with us this day and remain unspoken. Amen. So my husband and I have a joke, and it usually goes something like this. We'll be in traffic and sitting there, and Elliot will ask, "Why is traffic so bad today?" And I'll usually respond saying, "Because of gravity." Or we'll be out doing some project in the yard, and I'll get tired and give up and go inside and do something else, and later he'll ask me why I didn't finish the project that we were working on, and I'll say, "Because of gravity." And to be truthful, like, I do kind of believe that. Like, I think that life as we know it, we wouldn't know it if it weren't for gravity. Like, how we exist is really because of gravity. And I don't know any other perspective on life that doesn't involve gravity. So, all sarcasm aside, everything in my world is caused because of gravity. But, joking aside, I do think that there are things in the world that connect us together. Water is one of those things. Water connects us together. We could hear the rain outside this morning, the rain that has come from many different places, gathered in the clouds, and fallen down. And it's here. It will become the drinking water. Water is life. What happens when we pollute the water impacts other people. It's not just I pollute this water and it doesn't have any impact. We are connected and we need water for life. So if you're asking me why we're here today, I would say because of water. We're here because of water. We are alive because of water. And that's the physical thing, the physical water. You know, we talked about Mike's reflection and access to clean drinking water and the importance that is. But water has also been a spiritual metaphor. It's been a spiritual tool. Those of you who maybe grew up in churches or traditions that practice baptism, you may be familiar with the waters of baptism and how these waters are said to connect you with the community of believers. That for many who are Christian, it's believed to be the only ritual that is really needed, is baptism in water. Beyond that, though, I think of, I oftentimes talk about my stole because I like it, and it was given to me at my ordination. But one of the things when it was given to me is the design of the stole is a river of life, and so water. And when the Berkeley congregation presented it to me at my ordination, they said that they wanted to give me a symbol that reminded us of the fact that we are still connected. And they thought about, they know I love water and boating and all of the things you do on water. And so they chose this stole and said, let it be a reminder of the fact that the waters where you live are connected to the waters where we live. And therefore, we are connected. It's another way water spiritually connects us. And I think for many people, there's probably tons of other stories about how water has been a source of spiritual connection in your life, a source of meaning, a source of revitalization. It can connect us through time. I think about, as a kid, learning, there's some quote in maybe like second or third grade science about how, you know, all the water was once dinosaur pee, or the sweat of Abraham Lincoln, or something like that, and how it connects us still through time, which is what this water does. This water is water from past years when we have gathered for our water ceremony service. When I arrived in 2019, I found this jar in my office, left for me by Reverend Thomas, with a note explaining where it came from and how he had been left it by Barbara and Jocko, who we can just say were left it by someone before, because why not? But this water has been, it's kind of murky, but it's been passed around for a while as a metaphoric connection through time. This is particularly from last 2019, Jenny, when you were the worship associate for this service, and I've been holding on to it ever since, waiting for this chance. But it hasn't just been sitting in the jar. There's been a few occasions where I have actually made use of it. I think about when this past fall, or this past summer, when I performed a graveside service for Julie Collis, who died. And we were interring her body. I asked her family if I could pour some of this water on her grave as a reminder of her connection to all of us. And as I was preparing to leave after the graveside service, I was talking with the caretaker at the cemetery, and he had mentioned to me about how Julie was buried right next to John Munson. And I thought about how this water now seeping into the ground connects these two people. And how eventually it'll seep through all the sediment and hopefully end up in the pond nearby and evaporate it. And it'll continue connecting us. Maybe it's just a metaphor. Maybe it's just the physical water that we need to be alive. But whatever it is, water is special. It's special to us. It's important to us. It connects us. And so I'm going to pour this water here into this bowl that represents the Cedars community. May this water represent all those things, those people from the past that we carry with us still. The lessons that they have to offer, the things that we learned or taught them. May that water be a symbol of all those gifts we carry from the past. Before I invite Mike forward to pour this year's water into the mix, I want to share a poem by Dr. Carlisa Pincola Estes. It's titled, "The Rainmaker, You Could Be the Water." By the scent of water alone, the withered vine comes back to life. And thus, wherever the land is dry and hard, you could be the water. Or you could be the iron blade disking the earth open. Or you could be the akakia, the mother ditch carrying the water from the river to the fields to grow the flowers of farmers. Or you could be the honest engineer, mapping the dams that must be taken down and those dams which could remain to serve the venerable all instead of only the very few. You could be the battered vessel for carrying the water by hand. Or you could be the one who stores the water. You could be the one who protects the water. You could be the one who blesses it, or the one who pours it. Or you could be the tired ground that receives it. Or you could be the scorched seed that drinks it. Or you could be the vine, green, growing over land in all your wild audacity. You could be the water. Hopefully, as many of you arrived today, you had a chance at the front entrance to pour a little water into our vessel there. And in a moment, I'm going to invite Mike to bring this water forward, and I want to share some of the gifts that you all named, things that you hope to bring into community this year, things that you hope to share with each other. This simple act of naming something we want to share, of pouring water, is small, but it is a ritual that makes the water into something more. It becomes a metaphor of how we are together, of what we are together. And so, Mike, I now ask you to bring the water forward, and Jenny, if you would like to begin playing while I share the gifts people have named they would like. hugs, vitality, togetherness, fun, connection, community engagement, intergenerational connection, presence, love, joy, kindness, togetherness, non-judgment, love, strength, reconvening, resiliency, wisdom, safety, adventure, gratitude, health, courage, and strength. All of these gifts are things that those of us gathered have said we want to bring into community this year. And we work together to make all of these words I've listed, all of these hopes, a reality. Knowing that any one of us together cannot do it. Any one of us alone cannot do it. But when we come together, those hard, impossible, difficult things become a little bit more possible. May this be our blessing to stay on this water and on our community in the year ahead. Amen.
Makes you want to sing, but we're not supposed to, right? Darn. Because it really does. Thank you, Jenny. That was great. Another hand for Jenny. This was wonderful. Thank you. So if you'd stand and repeat after me. I'd say we're all supposed to hold hands again. Hold hands with the one that you're with. So we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth. The warmth of community or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
These we Our service has ended, but our service to the world and one another begin anew. As we go forth, may we be committed to bringing all of our gifts into community and honoring the connection that we share in the web of life. May it be so.
Yay!
Thank you.